Hey guys, I know it's kind of a weird time. You're all probably driving home from work or that it's really chaotic at your house, but I had a minute. Shawn Tassone, America's holistic gynecologist, and I wanted to tell you that I did 5 more Essure removals this week. And I had an interesting story from one of the patients that told me that she contacted me because she'd had a bilateral salpingectomy with a partial cornuectomy, which is the only removal for a salpingectomy that I think is going to actually help you and remove pieces. And she said that she went to a doctor who told her that that's what he was doing, bilateral salpingectomy, partial cornuectomy, and she wasn't feeling right, and she went back, and he wouldn't do an x-ray. She finally got a copy of her operative report and sent it to me as a consult because she was a little worried. And basically what he had done was he had cut the tube off at the junction of the uterus and then kind of pulled the coil out. That is not a partial cornuectomy. He basically lied to her and told her that that's the surgery that he was doing. And now she has a piece inside of the uterus and needs to have a hysterectomy. So this really harkens to a point that I've tried to make about 150 times. If you are having a salpingectomy, if you're having your tubes removed to get these Essures out, make them draw you a picture of how you are actually going to have it done. Because most doctors, especially if they're not using a robot, if they're just using laparoscopy, they're not going to do a partial cornuectomy. It's almost impossible to dig out that portion of the uterus and go all the way down into the cavity of the uterus so that you don't pull on that coil at all, so you don't have any pieces left behind. And I will tell you, I've done probably 800 cases now, and on those salpingectomies, even in experienced hands, I've done the x-rays intraoperatively, and they're still pieces. Do I have to go back in and get them while I'm still there? That's the other thing is, I don't know of any other physicians, and there's many doctors that are removing these now, and some of them who claim to be good at it and are being promoted in Facebook pages and whatnot, but they don't do x-rays during the case. If they don't do an x-ray during the case, how do you know you have all the pieces removed? There's absolutely no way to know. If you're not getting the x-ray during the surgery, there's absolutely no way to know. So you are going to basically be guessing. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily that's a bad thing, but I guess the reason you're having the surgery is to have the pieces removed in one shot and not have to go back and have a hysterectomy. I will tell you, yesterday, one of the cases I did, the coil, instead of being all the way in like that, it was partially in the tube, and then it was completely knuckled up in the corner. The only way to get that out was to cut around it, and I had to cut a bigger piece of the uterus, go around it, and go down into the cavity. There is a little teeny tab at the end of those coils that if you pull that, it's probably going to be left behind. It's really fragile, and you have to cut all the way down. And I'm just saying this, I'm not saying, now somebody would probably argue this with me, I'm not saying that I'm the end all be all. It's just that I've done so many, and I've seen so many things with these coils that I know the best way to remove them so that you don't have to go back in and have a second surgery. So watch out for physicians that say they know what they're doing, because doctors inherently don't want to lose patients. We really don't. I don't like to lose patients. And to lose a patient to another physician who is doing a surgery that I think I can do just makes them furious. So naturally, their tendency is to think that because they're easy to remove, that they can just do it. Well, if you haven't done a bunch of them, there's gonna be errors, and you don't want to be on somebody's learning curve. You don't want to be their 5th case or their 1st case. I mean, obviously somebody had to be mine, but that was back in the days when we didn't really know what to do. I think now we do. We have enough data to know what to do. And hysterectomy isn't always necessary. Sometimes I think it might be if you're having other problems. In a woman that's had an ablation, don't even attempt to have a salpingectomy with an Essure coil unless you go to somebody that's done a bunch, because those coils are cemented in and they are a bugger to get out. So make sure that you go to somebody with experience. If anybody has any questions on anything, if you ever want to have a consult with me, even if you've had the coils removed, if you think something's off, you want to have your hormones checked, or you want to order an x-ray because nobody else has ever ordered you an x-ray just to make sure that things are gone, you can actually go, Maddie, I'll have Maddie post the link for an Essure consult. Even if you're out of state, we can consult, or I can consult just to give you peace of mind, order an x-ray, order some hormones. Oh, thank you, Brandy. That's very nice of you. Everybody's, coming at this from different angles. My point being is I'm on a few of the Facebook pages around the country, and I'm seeing time and time again, women love their doctors, and that's great. There's some doctors out there that are really great, and they're trying to help. And then I ask a question like, well, how did he or she take the coil out of the uterus? I don't know. Okay, well, did they do an x-ray before the surgery? No. Okay, that's not somebody that really has a respect for the coil. How can you know? I had a lady yesterday who had 2 on the left side and 1 on the right side. Had we not done the x-ray before the surgery, how would I have known how many I was taking out? You can't possibly tell me that we are so inherently intelligent that we know that you've only got 2. I can't tell you that. I've seen 5. I mean, if you don't know how many there are in there, you won't know how many to take out. You have to insist on every case, hysterectomy or salpingectomy, that you are getting your x-rays before your case. If you're having surgery, then for salpingectomy, to just have the tubes removed, then you need to have an x-ray during the case. Otherwise, how do they know if they got it all? How do you know? How do you have peace of mind that all the fragments are removed? Hey, Alma, nice to see you. How's life out there in Wilcox or Fort Huachuca, or wherever it is you're living these days? I knew Alma back in the day when I actually put a couple Essures in. Yes, I did. Probably put in 100 or so, because we thought it was the thing to do. Unfortunately, we found out that there were some complications, and not everybody. But if you think if you're having pelvic pain, if you're having irregular bleeding, if you're having other issues with the Essure, and you have Essure in, and you think that it may have changed since you had them put in, then by all means go and have somebody get checked. The problem that I'm seeing is most doctors don't want to listen. They don't believe you, and that's frustrating. That's why you can always do a consult with me. And I'll do what I can to, at least work you up. Just even if you've had the Essures removed and you want to know if there's any pieces left behind, I would love to help if that's something that you need, and I'd be more than happy to order those tests for you. So, in any cases where you have issues, please be persistent. You have to be your own advocate, because a lot of your first time. A lot of women that go to their doctors in the first run, they don't believe them. They tell them they're, crazy, obviously, and to go home. So be persistent. There are people out there that are willing to help, but you only get one shot at this to do it right the first time, and then you have to have a second surgery to get them out. So nobody wants to do 2 surgeries. That's why I try to advocate for knowing as much as you can, and not just taking anybody's word for it, and getting these out the right way the first time with the right doctor, even if you need to travel. I know it's a pain in the butt. The other thing is, this is another thing that I've been seeing. There's a lot of women traveling to North Carolina, not to have reversals, but to have removals. And they're paying $8,000, $7,000. Removals are covered by insurance. Don't travel to somebody if you have to pay cash. Removals are covered by insurance. I take insurance, so you shouldn't have to pay $7,000 to have a removal done, not a reversal. Reversals aren't covered by insurance, but removals are covered by your insurance, and you shouldn't have to pay for that. If you're already going to pay for a flight, or even if you're not paying for the flight, if they're buying your flight or if they're buying your hotel, and you're saving, $700, but you're paying $7,000, even with a high deductible, you're probably going to pay less than that. So please don't pay to have a removal done. Go see somebody that takes insurance. There's absolutely no reason for you to pay for that. But you do have to pay out of pocket for a reversal, because that's not something that is considered medically necessary. So I've never had a removal denied by an insurance company. It is medically necessary, and I'll tell you why it's medically necessary. It's medically necessary because you say it's medically necessary. If you want it out, that's medical necessity. Plain and simple. You don't need doctors telling you. I've had patients say the doctor told her, oh, it's not medically necessary. It is because you want it out. I don't even care if you're having symptoms. If you want it out, that is enough. That is the diagnosis. I want it out. You have a foreign body in the uterus and you want it out. That is an indication for removal. There is a diagnosis code for that. It exists, and it's your body. So if you want it out, we take it out. You don't have to have a long list. The other thing that women are told all the time is, oh, you're too big. We can't operate on you until you lose 20 pounds. That's a pile of garbage. I mean, unless you're 1,000 pounds and the surgery itself would put you at immense risk, that's not a problem. Weight is not a problem. I've operated on many women with BMIs over 50. That's not an issue. That is a physician stalling you because they don't necessarily want to do it. If they tell you that you need to try a trial of birth control pills, or that's purely fabricated, that's not real. The insurance companies don't make you try birth control pills. That's not a thing. Now, they not to have the Essures removed anyways. There might be other reasons for them to say that, but it's not to have the Essure removed. If you come in and you want it removed and the doctor says something about it not getting covered, it's because they don't want to do it. It has nothing to do with the insurance. The insurance pays for it. I can guarantee I've done it hundreds and hundreds of times. So that's just what you need to think about. You need to think about if you want it out, and if you need to travel, then use your insurance. Now, the only insurance that doesn't travel is Medicaid. State-funded Medicaid plans are required to stay in the state of origination. So if you're in Texas and you have Medicaid, if you go to Louisiana, they're not going to pay for it, unless it's an emergency, like if you're in the ER or something. So I've had a lot of women from other states that want to come see me, and they have Medicaid, and unfortunately Medicaid won't pay for it. So I think one woman actually appealed it and did get it covered, oddly enough. So you can try that. You can tell them that I'm the only one that's doing it and that does it the way you want it done, and see what they say. And if they approve it, then I'd be more than happy to help you. So any questions about Essure removal? I know it's a weird time because people are driving or getting kids places. So if not, I'm going to sign off for today, this week. Maybe I'll pop on this weekend and do an Instagram live or something. Also, if you follow me, Maddie, can you put up the YouTube channel link? I have a YouTube channel. I have a whopping 533 followers, but I'm going to be sharing some stuff on YouTube that's going to be fun. I'm going to record a video hopefully this weekend that's going to go up. It's going to be the top 5 things that you shouldn't put in your vagina. Yep. And I'm not even going to give you a clue on any of them because a couple of them are pretty funny, but true. I've seen many things put in there, and this is going to be a fun way to do education and also kind of have fun at the same time. So I will see you over on YouTube. If you go over YouTube and just type in Shawn Tassone MD, I'm sure it'll come up. But if you want to follow my page, that'll be great. I'm going to start sharing a lot of information over there. I'll see you around.